Thanks everyone for joining today. Just a few opening comments from me, and then we'll invite one of our sponsors to say a few words, and then we'll hand over to Isabelle. So first of all, I'd like to recognise that the Burnaby Board of Trade operates on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam and Squamish nations. I think I know a lot of familiar faces on the call today, but in case there are one or two people out there who are a little bit new to us, I'll just give you a little bit of a taster and a bit of flavour as to who we are as an organisation. So we are the Chamber of Commerce for the City of Burnaby. We have about 1,100 members, ranging from smaller organisations, maybe one person running their own business, right the way through to some of the larger organisations that you'll see across the city, including our two sponsors today, Pacific Blue Cross and Electronic Arts, to large groups that we have in the city. Our role has has in some respects changed a bit over this period, but I think more than that, what's happened in this period is people are seeing up front perhaps more of the work that people might have thought was behind the scenes in the past, because our event portfolio, which is still carrying on with events such as we have today, and you've probably seen in some of our emails some of the events we have planned going forward, but obviously because the in-person component of the events is not as possible these days. I think perhaps more focus has gone on some of the other work that we do as an organisation, and we describe ourselves very much as a 3C organisation, which is a catalyst for economic development, where we work with businesses and the community to make sure that the economy is as strong, as vibrant and as sustainable as it can be. And that can be from resources we provide for business people. It can be from working with the city to ensure that businesses have the support they need from the municipality, and right the way through to training and business education that we can provide. So that catalyst role is vitally important. And as we move now from the period of everybody just being completely knocked sideways by everything that went on, we're now hoping that we can move forward into a period of recovery looking ahead. So that rebuilding of economic strength is something that's always been, and it continues to be a big focus for us. The second of the C's would be a convener, which is where bringing people together. So whether it's events such as this, we have the Mayor's State of the City address coming up in a couple of weeks, or whether it's just bringing together the community and political and thought leaders that we have within the city to Did you mute everybody, Corey?
I didn't think I did, but
right. Oh, somebody muted. Maybe somebody got fed up with me already and muted me.
Sorry,
that happens. I think my wife wishes she had a mute button for me sometimes. But anyway, so I was just mentioning about some of the work we do as a convener, whether it's bringing people together in events such as this, but also what we've found, particularly during this period, it's something that we've always done, but it's been particularly important during this period, is bringing people together to work together, to support each other, to help each other. It was really perhaps one of the first reasons that Chambers of Commerce started in the first place, when a group of business people sat around a table and said, we're much stronger when we work together than we are on our own. And perhaps that's not been as visibly important as it is nowadays, just people working together. And we're the ones at the heart of that convening process. And the last one, and this is something which I think you've all seen a lot of work in the area, is Champion, where we're the voice of business. We're advocating to all levels of government on behalf of business. We're out there making sure that business has a voice. And the fact that we have over 1,000 members means that the voice that you lend to us is a very powerful one. So those three aspects of Catalyst, Convener and Champion, which perhaps in some respects, as I said at the beginning, may have been a little bit behind the scenes for some of you. I think now perhaps you're seeing more and more the evidence of that work and the benefits of the work that we've done in that world. So today's event is how to position yourself and your brand as the best or the only to thrive in any economy. And it's the second of a three-part series that we put together, developed by our Women's Business Success Network, which I guess has been around now for, must be 4 years, I imagine. and has done some great work over the years in terms of putting events together, putting together some of our policy and advocacy positions on behalf of women in business. This is the second of those groups. The last one is on the 21st, how to negotiate during a pandemic and other uncertain times. This is an initiative of our Women's Business Success Network. Men are always welcome. We've got a few men on the call here today, but on a serious note, it's really important that everyone is engaged in the conversations that we have through this group. And so we've been very pleased over the years to see such a great participation from the whole business community and the community at large in working towards the goals that we've all been identifying. I'd like to give a welcome and a thank you to today's event sponsors. The platinum sponsor, who we'll hear from shortly, is Pacific Blue Cross, BC's leading benefits provider for 75 years, provides health, dental, life, disability and travel coverage for roughly 1.5 million British Columbians from their base right here in Burnaby. They're an integral part of the Burnaby Board of Trade, been a great supporter of ours and a partner of ours on a lot of initiatives, and also a major employer here in the city. So we're very happy to have their support today and throughout this series. And the other sponsor today is Electronic Arts Canada. They're at the gold sponsor level. EA is among the city's highest profile businesses. They're the anchor of our thriving tech sector and an amazing corporate citizen here in Burnaby. They're very heavily involved in various local programs in Burnaby, and they support us on many of our initiatives. So I'd like to thank them very much for their support today as well. So now I'd like to introduce from our platinum sponsor, Heidi Worthington, the Senior VP and Chief Revenue Officer of Pacific Blue Cross, to make a few welcoming remarks. Heidi?
Yes, thanks, Paul. I am so delighted to be with you all here today, and I'd like to thank the Burnaby Board of Trade for really great programming in this series, and I'm really looking forward to this topic today. I think you're all probably familiar with Pacific Blue Cross. Paul just spoke to it there, and I have to say, having a mission of improving the health outcomes of British Columbians has felt like really meaningful work for me, and I hope for our teams over the past couple of weeks, particularly in a time when all of our health feels very vulnerable. So delighted to be a part of all of that, and something I'm really quite passionate about. One of my big passion areas, though, is what we're about to talk about today. So in my role as Chief Revenue Officer at PBC, I do lead our marketing function, but it's also my roots. When I started my career, which was back with a company called Unilever, that makes a whole bunch of different consumer brands like Dove and Axe and Lipton and Baysell and quite a few brands that I had the opportunity to work on. And I really do believe that brand positioning is absolutely core and critical to success. So, and whether or not it's understanding the brand positioning for yourself with your own brand, or whether or not it's for your organization. And you don't need to be a marketing strategist to be a master at it. And I think that's really critical to start all this off, that really all you need to know is yourself, how you're different, and being really clear on what makes your offer very compelling. And I know Isabelle's going to walk us through some great tips and tricks on this soon. I thought I'd just take 2 minutes before we start to share a quick story, because it's something that I've referred back to many times over the last 2 decades of my career, because it shows just how, if you understand those things, brand positioning can be a snap. And it's going back to when I was a student many moons ago in Montreal. I had the opportunity to work with an entrepreneur who really was a baker, and passionate, so passionate about what he did, but never taken a business course in his life. And he baked cookies. This is cookies that you could smell from a million miles away, because he used Belgian chocolates and full cream and butter and all the really good stuff. And this is in a time in the late 80s when it was, you know, just after Jane Fonda's Make It Burn, and new low-fat diet products and variants were everywhere. So it was really kind of swimming upstream on that front. But he started with just one little storefront and had built his business out to 6 different locations. And I asked him, you know, what did you think, what did he think as an entrepreneur, what his biggest competitive threat was? You know, he's in the cookie business, so maybe it's other cookie manufacturers and other cookie products. He also had some locations in food courts, so maybe it's the other restaurants in the food courts. But his answer was so clear and succinct when he mentioned it to me. He said, well, you know, my biggest competitor is a bouquet of flowers or a nice bottle of wine. And I thought, wow, now I get it. What he sells is an indulgent gift, either for yourself or for someone else. And as soon as he articulated it in that way to me, then I totally understood in his mind what his value proposition was and why it is that not only does he sell cookies, but he puts them in beautiful tins. And I think that kind of analogy about how this is a baker who doesn't have formal business training, understood the power of what I would call brand positioning in such an incredibly powerful way. And I've really reflected on that quite a few times, actually. And I hope that story kind of shows you that this isn't anything that's too intimidating. It's really some very basic stuff, but if you get it right, my gosh, you can just be that much more successful. So with that little story, I thought, I hope it benefits you. And I'm so looking forward to hearing what Isabelle has to share with us today. And I'll pass it back to you, Paul, to get us going.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Nice story. I like that. That was very, very good. I appreciate it. So I'd like to introduce our speaker today. Our speaker today is Isabelle Mercier-Turcotte, who's brand strategist, co-founder, CEO of Leap Zone Strategies, and host of LeapTV.com. Isabelle is a no-nonsense dynamo, born to catapult couplepreneurs, entrepreneurs, and heart-centered leaders to build infectious and impactful brands, businesses, and lives. As one of North America's top business influencers, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and TV show host, Isabelle's sole purpose is to empower 10 million entrepreneurs to rock their businesses and lives into shape by creating a worldwide My Life, My Biz, My Way movement. So I'm happy now, Isabelle, to pass the floor over to you, and we're really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Unmute myself, that'll go way better. Hello, hello. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm happy to connect with a lot of familiar faces. I'm happy to reconnect with a lot of you and to get to know more of some new members that I am unfamiliar with. Yes, thank you for Heidi for that story. It's a beautiful segue to introduction to what we're going to be talking about today, how to position yourself as the first, the best, or the only, so that you can thrive truly in any economic climates. I want to start by saying that positioning is to marketing what a heartbeat is to the human body. You know, a human body cannot live without a heartbeat, and a brand cannot live without strong, a business or a brand cannot live without strong positioning. So, because without strong positioning, the only option that's left to compete with or compete on is price. And that's a guaranteed race to the bottom, especially in this new normal that COVID is creating, unless competing on price is your positioning, like Costco, for example. But here's a real fact here. In the last 7 seconds, your mind has made 1,000 computations about me already. In the last 7 seconds, unconsciously and automatically, you've also made 11 major decisions about me already. You've made decisions about my hair, about my energy, about the introduction that was read for me, my accent now that I'm speaking, my possible credibility. But you've made 11 major decisions in simply 7 seconds, because in 7 seconds, you've been introduced to the energy of my brand and of my positioning. You basically have 7 seconds to introduce the energy of your brand and position yourself energetically and personally to be the first, the best, or the only to your ideal clients. And my question to you is, are you leveraging those 7 seconds? And of course, well beyond everything else that you do past those 7 seconds. I'm known, for those of you who know me, I'm known as the Simon Cowell of branding and business growth. And I choose to see that as a huge compliment, contrary to people who might know Simon Cowell, because this guy sure knows how to spot, how to position, and how to catapult talent forward. I am, however, a little bit more fashionable and certainly a lot friendlier than him. Now, in the past 25 years, I've had the opportunity to create a 7-figure branding agency, a 7-figure strategy and positioning and coaching business. I've produced, as was introduced, I produced and hosted the #1 branding show here in Canada called Leap TV. I've worked with a lot of amazing, amazing small business owners in Canada and in the US. And of course, I've worked with large iconic brands that I've absolutely loved every minute of working with these clients. I won Entrepreneur of the Year, and I'm one of the North America's top business influencers. That's a great positioning line, by the way, just to give an introduction to positioning. Being positioned as a top North America top small business influencer is a great, great positioning line. I'm also a 2-time TEDx speaker with over 2.5 million views. And let me tell you, I have been through my fair share of crippling economic downturns that definitely required me to reinvent and reposition myself, right? And reposition my brand and my business to continually be and stay the first, the best, or the only. And in my 25 years in business, I've done that successfully with hundreds of entrepreneurs and thought leaders around the world by helping them step out of the best kept secret closet and fully stepping in to and positioning and delivering their genius with impact and influence. Branding and positioning can literally make or break your business, period. It can literally make it or break it. So on the agenda today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to debunk some branding myths that are slowing down your growth. I'm going to share with you 3 vital positioning ingredients. There are 10, but I'm going to share 3 with you today to position yourself as the first, the best, or the only. And I'm going to share with you a brand success formula that's going to help you really dramatically increase the value that you provide, the leadership with which you lead your brand and your influence. And I'm very glad that the Board of Trade, the Burnaby Board of Trade, have given me 12 hours to deliver my content. I'm happy about that. Thank you very much for your generosity. Just kidding. I will go through as fast and efficiently as I can, because I want you to walk away with understanding what it takes to truly differentiate yourself, which is all about positioning, to elevate the value and the impact of your brand, and to create a more fanatical culture, to position your brand, to increase and amplify the fanatical aspect of the people loving what you do and how you make life better. I'm also going to give you an opportunity to connect with me and my team today and after today for a few additional resources to help you implement what you'll learn today. Because at the end of the day, knowing what I'm about to share here only goes so far, right? That has to be implemented. All right, so before we get started, I would like for you to take just a few seconds to write down in the chat, because I like to actually look at some of the questions you guys might have. And I get that right now I haven't gone through the material, but you know enough about marketing to know what are some of the marketing challenges that you have, concerns or questions that you have around marketing and positioning. So if you can start thinking about that and putting those in the group chat here so that I can see. I like to look at those questions and then weave those questions and answer through the presentation, but also there will be some time at the end to go through questions. So don't be shy, connect with me through the chat. I'm gonna try to keep my eye on there as much as I can here. All right. I would be a fool to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. I'm pretty positive that every single one of you here, or those of you watching later, want to be positioned to hear that from your prospects and clients. Am I right or am I right? I would like for you to type hell yes in the chat if you're right, if I'm right about that, because I want us to start connecting with one another through this presentation. So Truly, I would be a fool to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. That is exactly what my team and I help our clients achieve. And let me tell you, it takes a hell of a lot more than talent, a good idea, and a cool logo to create that. It takes 3 differentiating pillars, which I'm going to share, implemented in the right order to create that kind of results. And it takes an understanding, like Heidi was saying earlier, an understanding of what positioning truly means in order to do what needs to be done to be positioned the way you want to be positioned. The 3 pillars are positioning, of course, personality, and performance. Those 3 pillars are so important to creating a brand and a business that's positioned and engineered to thrive no matter what's happening, COVID or not, whatever crisis goes on within an industry, within the world. Positioning, personality, and performance. So positioning is truly, what do you want to be known for, right? What's the new normal that you're creating? How are you claiming a position or a reputation for yourself, for your services, for your products, for your brand in the market, or several markets? Doesn't just have to be one market. For your company or product, right? In which way or in which ways is your company's offering different from your competitors? How are you choosing to be the first, the best, or the only? So that is all part of positioning. I'll explain the 3 pillars and then we'll dig deeper into the positioning and branding. Then personality is about, what do you stand for, right? What are you willing or not willing to do to deliver your genius? How do your product, your service, your brand make life better? How do you solve problems better than anyone else? And truly, why should someone choose you instead of someone else, right? Why would someone buy chocolate rather than something else? So that's all part of personality. A lot of people, personality can be a really big tipping point for choosing someone. They might have a great process or a great product, but the personality of the brand plays a lot in someone choosing you. And then the 3rd pillar is performance. What are your clear aspirations, goals, objectives, and most importantly, what needs to be eliminated, what needs to be automated, what needs to be innovated to make your business and brand operate like a well-oiled machine? How will you systematize the predictable? This is something we use a lot, systematizing the predictable so that you can maximize the exceptional. Because inside of structure lives freedom. Inside of structure lives freedom. So within these 3 vital leap zone trifecta pillars, there are 8 key areas for growth: brand and culture, time management, vision and strategy, technology, money and KPIs. These 8 key areas for growth are vital to building a thriving brand and, of course, a thriving business that's engineered to withstand what's happening in the world today and what's going to happen again in many years, because there will always be. This is not the first crisis and it's not going to be the last. But right now, what I want to do is I want to double click on the brand and culture with which positioning lies into, so that we can double click on that. And first, I want to start with a little bit of a rant about what branding is not. So let me be clear, branding is not a logo. Is a logo important to a brand? Yes, of course, it's a visual trigger to remind you if you like this product or not, or if you like this company or not. Denny's, for example, my first experience here out in BC probably 20 years ago at Denny's, I experienced a 9-day food poisoning. That was hell, I have to say. Just looking at the Denny's logo, I don't feel so good. And just to prove the point that a logo is a visual trigger to make you feel something, right? Whether you know the company or not. So is a logo important to a brand? Of course it is, but it is not a brand. A website is also not a brand, right? Branding is not a website. Is a website important to a brand? Of course, a website is your best spokesperson that actually communicates what you do on your behalf 24/7. So of course it's important, but it is not a brand. And a product or a service either. Is a product or a service important to a brand? Well, of course, without a product or service, you don't have a brand. But branding is not the actual product or service. So if branding is not a logo, it's not a website, and it's not a product or a service, what the heck is it? Branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's how people feel when they buy you, right? When they buy your product or service. It's how people feel about the experience that you provide, whether you sell a product or a service. It's still all an experience. And that experience is what gets people to come back over and over and over again. Too many small business owners actually do not know exactly how their customers feel at the time of purchase, prior purchasing, at the time of purchase, during and after. And that's all part of creating an outstanding experience for your clients that surrounds your product and your service. Brands are defined by people and emotions, not companies or markets. In other words, it's not what you say it is what they feel it is. So the key in branding and positioning is to align the perception with the actual reality. So the closer what you deliver and the perception of what you deliver and the feeling of what you deliver is in alignment, that is the degree to which you will have a very, very successful brand. Branding is also confidently owning who you are, who the personality of the organization is, what makes you different and compelling, right? What makes you the first, the best, or the only. And most entrepreneurs are very unclear about that. And some of you on this call today might be in that same boat of potentially not being able to really nail why someone would tip over. What is the thing about you, about your service, about your brand that gets people to go, where have you been all my life? Branding is also understanding the number one problem you solve. And then the next 3 to 5 secondary problems, right? That you help your clients solve. It's also knowing and owning how you and your business simply makes life better. Because at the end of the day, solving problems is about making life better. It's also about who you're best suited to help. You know, who wants and truly values what you offer. I didn't just say need what you offer. Why? Because people buy what they want more than what they need. Branding is about creating know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. And branding is creating is T equals R plus D. And what I mean by that is trust, but to create trust, it requires reliability and delight. Building trust by meeting and exceeding your customers' expectations. A lot of people are not reliable. So if your brand stands for reliability, to begin with, you've got a leg up. And most people, though, forget the delight portion. It is so massively important in any type of brand, whether it's a product or a service, whether it's dramatic or light and buoyant. Delight is key, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll give you a quick story. I was at Costco not too long ago, and I had shopped, in my basket there was items including ice cream, a tub of ice cream. And I had purchased I had put the tub of ice cream in my cart a little too early I hadn't planned very well, a little too early in my shopping moment. And at the belt, when I was paying, the person, you know, when they're just passing through, ding, 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 and charging all that, She actually called right away without even asking me. She just called on the intercom. Hey, can I get a brand new tub of vanilla ice cream, please? This one is started to thaw. So, I mean, truly, I wasn't expecting that. I hadn't even thought about that, but this person was present enough to actually make that difference, right? And Costco, I went to look at what do they stand for, right? And they stand for being extremely helpful while providing quality goods and services at the lowest possible prices. But it's not just about low price, it's about being extremely helpful. And that was a testament, or that action being in action. I saw it live. And those little things really, really make a big difference. And that's what builds a track record of trust. So trust equals reliability and delight. So what I want to do now is I want to share with you the first brand positioning ingredient, which is your mission. And no, I do not mean your mission statement. Mission statement is a swear word at LeaveZone. We hate mission statements because they don't do anything. They're inspirational at the very beginning, but after that, they gather dust on a website or on a shelf somewhere. When we start working with a company and we look under the hood, we always, we go to the basics and we look at the brand foundation, mission being one of them. And most people don't know what their missions are. They're not connected to it. And that becomes really problematic when mission should be about how you leave people feeling, period. 1 or 2 words of how you leave people feeling. No long, drawn out paragraphs that talks about how, our plan is to challenge the status quo. Those are all good, but at the end of the day, 1 or 2 words having your entire organization, whether you're 1, 2, or 5,000, aligned with 1 or 2 words. The result of that is when you know how you want to leave people feeling, and when you align, this is where positioning comes in, when you align every action to deliver on that, magic happens. Remember, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They buy the feeling and the sense of belonging that comes with it. There's a great example of that. There's an insurance company in Europe. Insurance company, obviously, when, let's say my house burns down, let's not give that as an example. Escape, escape, delete, delete. Let's say a disaster strikes somewhere. and of course, the insurance company will be there to help, but it's always about loopholes and how much money can we keep in our pocket and how much money are we gonna help this family or this company with in rebuilding. Well, this company, their mission is to leave people feeling wowed and delighted. Not about profit, although profit is important. You cannot not live and operate a business and a brand without profit. But their mission, internal private mission, is to leave people feeling wowed and delighted. So do you know what they do? How they've aligned that with what they do is they actually send the family to their ideal vacation while they actually fix the problems at hand. Again, it's not about always the bottom line. It's about how can we make life better and how can we align what we do with our internal mission, which is to leave, in this case, to leave people feeling wowed and delighted. At LeaveZone, our mission is to leave people feeling on fire and unstoppable. And I don't care what we're doing, who we're talking with, who we're working with, that is always very, very present in our forefront. We make decisions that way. I've heard Luciano millions of times come to me and say, in the spirit of leaving people feeling on fire and unstoppable, I'm suggesting we tweak this. I'm suggesting we're elevating this. I'm suggesting we eliminate this. It has to be the first ingredient with which we align, and of course the other ingredients build upon. Ritz-Carlton, their internal mission is to leave people feeling like a family member. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the teddy bear story. There's a kid that had forgotten his teddy bear behind. And what they've done is, instead of just mailing the teddy bear back, They actually took it, this went viral online. They took pictures of the teddy bear enjoying an extended vacation, eating and at the pool and traveling back, so that the kid could be left, kept in the loop in transit to be reunited with his pal, right? So again, when you have an internal mission of leaving people feeling like family, and you actually adjust things along the way to align that, every little touch point with that, again, magic happens. Do you think that that family are going to be interested in going back to Ritz-Carlton? For sure, hands down. FedEx's internal mission is to leave people feeling cared for. And there's another act, they have a whole process of acts of kindness. They have a whole campaign of that. And their employees actually do random acts of kindness on a daily basis. Again, aligning with how they want to leave people feeling. So that is basic number one. That's going to really help you start positioning yourself as the first, the best, or the only. The second vital brand positioning ingredient is your promise. Your promise is your measurable accountability. It's what bridges your genius and the needs and desires of your ideal clients. It's what you deliver without fail, come rain or shine. The problem is most people don't have a brand promise. And when you don't have a brand promise, let me tell you, you leave a lot of money on the table. Because one, when you don't have a promise, you're not communicating what's in it for your customers in a way that gets them to say, where the hell have you been all my life, right? Where have you been all my life? And Providence Security is a BC owned and operated company that I love telling that story because it's such a great representation of a powerful, powerful brand promise. So Mike Jagger, owner of Providence Security, saw that in that industry, there's massive gap. Did you know that if your alarm rings in your house and the keypad and the very company that you're being protected by, if your alarm rings, the physical response time at your premises from police time is between 2 to 2.5 hours, and from the very company that you're paying is anywhere between half an hour to an hour and a half. And he thought that that was a massive mishap in that world, which I happen to agree. People expect this, and then people expect this, and they get this, right? So he created a promise of a 5-minute response time. Do you think that that was simple? Hell to the no. Had it been simple, other companies would have done it before. He had to invent technology called Blink technology. He had to rejig and reinvent systems to make sure that the keys are left, they're kept in the cars, and there's a car and a guard within a 5-minute radius. All of that to say, it was a complicated endeavor that actually absolutely paid off. Because now he's the fastest growing security company in North America. His ads online, you'll see they say, are you paying enough for your security company? That's strong positioning right there. Because they positioned themselves as the first and the only to deliver on a gap that was a problem. So when you're clear about your promise, and it's a promise that solves a top of mind problem or a promise that people want, you can charge a premium for what you do. Or at the very minimum, you can actually start enrolling and working with a hell of a lot more people. Money loves clarity. Money loves focus. And positioning requires clarity and focus. Apple promises to always challenge the status quo. And they've created a cult-like culture that believes that once you go Mac, you never go back. And early adopters love the Apple brand because it fuels their need for uniqueness. That's very strong positioning, right? Working with people or selling amazing products and services to people who are early adopters and who value being first and only at utilizing products and services. And you know what to expect with Mac. You know that it's gonna challenge the status quo, and you're gonna feel really cool and in the in crowd by having their product. So they've positioned themselves fantastically well. Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, Band-Aid, all are some of the major brands that created their own categories and subsequently, of course, were first. So in your business, what could you innovate that could make you the first? And you won't be the first forever. That's the key, right? The key is a positioning journey is a journey, and a branding is a journey. It's not a one-time thing. It's important to be really aware of that, because once you're first, you're not going to be first forever. You're going to have to reinvent being first again. So the exercise here would be to look at your ideal clients' problems, not necessarily the clients that you have right now, but your ideal clients. And if that happens to be the same, fantastic. And what you are a genius at solving, or a massive opportunity here in genius or brilliance to bridge that gap. And sometimes, you know, doing that for yourself is hard, because when you're in the picture, when you're in the frame, you can't see the picture. It's a lot harder. This is what I do for a living for others. And there are times where I can't even see my own senses around my own positioning. So I've got, you know, people helping me with this as well for myself. Okay, so let me just make sure here that I'm not missing anything on the chat. All right, the third vital brand positioning ingredient is your X factor. Your X factor is literally what separates you from the pack. It's why people choose you instead of Jane Doe, right? Regardless of how much you charge. Regardless of how much you charge. It's what makes you the #1 choice. The problem is, again, very few people know what makes them truly stand out. And when you don't know what makes you stand out, your confidence goes down, your ability to get clients or ideal projects goes down. Then you start doubting the value of your products and services. And then, of course, with all of that, you lose opportunities. And most importantly, you leave a lot of money on the table. Money that should be yours, that's going to go to somewhere else that's possibly less good than you are, but their positioning was more compelling. Their positioning was better. You see, innovations don't come from great ideas. They come from fixing problems. Nobody sits there and goes, you know, what could I invent? No, it's, where is there a problem? Everything that's been created has been as a result of a problem that needed to be fixed. A great example of that is there's a grocery shopping experience in South Korea. So if there's South Koreans on this call, in Korea, people are really busy. They work hard. This is a culture that dedicates a lot of their time and effort and genius to their work. And grocery shopping is the bane of their freaking existence. They hate it. Talk about a problem to have, right? But this company here that I'm about to reveal, you know, they went, what if grocery shopping was fun? What if it was relaxing? What if it was cool? What if grocery shopping was practical? How about that? What if it was practical? What if you could shop and everything would be at your fingertips? Wouldn't that freaking be amazing? Well, Tesco Home Plus is a company that's done that in Korea, and of course growing in the world. But what you're looking at here in this phone, I'm just going to give you another picture. What you're looking at here is not a grocery shop, is actually a train. It's not a grocery aisle, it's a subway station that's mimicking a grocery store to allow people to shop while they wait for their train. This is another trait of Koreans is in Korea, they travel a lot by trains, planes, and automobiles. So they spend a chunk of their time working and a chunk of their time traveling to and from work. So they've created a completely new normal around shopping while you're waiting for your train. It's mimicking the aisle, people take pictures, and then you literally pick your delivery time, right? The result, 76% growth and a much happier culture. That's truly what I call flipping an industry on its head, right? Demand and scarcity equals opportunity. Same as crisis plus danger equals opportunity. So where in your business is there room for you to flip something on its head? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to flip a whole industry on their head in order to be able to have an intelligent X factor. It's just looking at what has been problematic. What do your clients and prospects and ideal clients and ideal prospects are complaining, and what's a lack that you could fill that gap your way? That's the key here, right? That's the key. We're working with a company, a courier company, which most of you must know. They're from Burnaby. They're Novex courier company. Now we're positioning them as not just a courier company. This company, my God, goes through lengths, great lengths to help their customers, especially through COVID here, always in their career, but through COVID, stores, retail stores that are wanting to increase their sales online, and they're wanting to utilize them as a courier company, they will actually create signage for your store, for the front of your store, to actually help you increase your online sales, therefore increasing their delivery business, right? So how can you make life better by just stepping outside of the sandbox, right? Stepping outside of the lines. That makes massive, massive difference in moving forward with your brand positioning. Now, okay, there's a non-negotiable ingredient, which is your brand premise. And I said I was going to share 3, but I always over-deliver. So I'm going to share 4. The bad news is none of what we've covered so far will work unless you're clear about your brand premise. And I will explain what that is. Your brand premise is your room divider. And your room divider, that's an absolute game changer. So there's a lot of noise online, offline right now, and it's very hard to stand out and to be heard and to be seen and to be noticed. And as COVID continues to shift our world, the online world will become even more noisy. And that's very dangerous for a business and bank account, in your bank account, if you don't have strong positioning accompanied by a strong room divider. So if you want to create more impact, and if you want your business to generate a great impact and great influence, and of course, generating good money and grow, you need to be very clear on that premise. And the result of having a great premise is it allows you to provocatively, the word I'm looking for is provocatively grab the attention, because you might be the best at what you do, but if you can't pierce that noise, and if nobody knows about you, then you're shit out of luck, right? So the key here is to make sure that you have a way to magnetize people to you who believe in what you believe, and repel the people or divide the room with the people who don't really believe in what you're doing and don't really care, frankly. Now, the key though with a brand premise is it's got to be powerful. And I'm going to give you some examples of that, so that I just want to give you the gist of it first, and then I'll give you some examples. A brand premise has to be powerful. It has to be provocative. It has to be clear. It has to be succinct, and it has to be massively relevant. Massively relevant. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that. One of our clients, Clean and Living, what they do is they help people with family members or friends or people in their lives that are addicts. So they're not helping addicts like AA. They're helping the family member of an addict like Al-Anon, for example. And they wholeheartedly believe, so this is a premise we've come up together, that enabling kills. 2 words, very strong, very simple, very provocative. A doctor could actually debate you on this. A doctor could go, no, enabling doesn't kill, fentanyl does, right? But the beauty about a strong, simple, provocative premise is it gets people to stop and go, what? What did you just say? And people who go, oh, right, that makes sense. Or some people will go, no, that doesn't make sense. The key with a strong premise though, and a strong premise helps you market yourself and establish your positioning. So the brand premise here can be debated, which is key, but the most important key is for you, it gives you some content to educate people online and offline. You cannot just have a premise. It wouldn't be a premise if it was, for example, not debatable, or if it was something that sounds a little bit more like a tagline. A premise is not a tagline. It's a slap in the face, or it's something that will wake you up. And I'll give you another example. So another client of ours, K-Shift, works with millennials and baby boomers, mainly with baby boomers, to be able to intelligently and smartly work and leverage the genius of millennials. Now, her premise is millennials have it right. Well, I can tell you that there's a ton of baby boomers that don't believe that. They're like, oh, hell to the no. But that has created months and months of amazing educational-based content for Kat. And she's been riding that beautiful wave, and it's allowed baby boomers and millennials to wake up to her brand and actually go, wow, that makes so much sense. I want to work with you. Another client of ours, the Genuine Living Company, Sue, believes that your gut holds the key. Any disease, this is what she believes, any disease can be traced with a problem in the gut. Could that be debated? Absolutely, it could be debated. Does she have months and months of content and years of experience to prove this? You better believe it, she does. And that has, again, put her in front of hundreds and thousands of awesome clients that have worked with her as a result of them finding her, them being educated by her, them understanding her position and understanding why they should work with her. So having a strong premise is how you can more easily cut through the noise online while giving you months, if not years of content, inspiration, and direction. Again, a premise is not a tagline. It's not a cool line that just shares for the sake of sharing. A premise requires you to educate your prospects so that you can amplify your emotional connection with those who believe what you believe and help those who don't possibly change their minds. It's very, very common for people to be, hell no, I don't believe in that. And then, oh, they've been, the curiosity got piqued, they listen a little bit further, and then they're like, oh, well, that makes sense. We all know that if you have back issues, rarely is the back the problem. Mainly it's knees or feet or different type of alignment in your body. But before that was known, it was a premise. You know, your back issue doesn't come from your back. That could be an intelligent premise. So Sue right now is, Sue, the owner of the Genuine Living Company, she's consistently educating her prospects about why your gut holds the key. And her premise alone has totally brought in a lot of business over the past year. And she's actually reconnected with us recently, letting us know how amazing that's been for her. And again, those ingredients build upon each other. It's not just having one, although having one is better than having none, but it's all about the buildup of all of that together. So the goal here is not to do business with everyone who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe in what you believe. That's team members, clients, suppliers. And I know that some of you are not working with people who believe in what you believe. And that is extremely frustrating and time consuming. Time consuming for your team, time consuming for everybody. So I want to share, I promised to share a brand success formula. And the brand success formula is P plus PDS equals rockstar brand. There, you have it. This is the key secret right here. Now, of course, I'm assuming that everybody, I will explain what that means. I'm assuming that everyone on this call and watching later want to become more influential and of course, creating more impact with your brand and with your product and service. And I know that I'm right, so I'm not even gonna ask, that is given. So I want you to listen carefully here, because this brand formula, as simple as it is the difference between good and rock star brand. It's the difference between I like you and I must work with you. And it is every contact made before, during, and after a sale. So it's the P stands for an authentic and differentiating promise, 5 minutes response time, and a C of an hour and a half. That's an authentic and differentiating brand promise. And it's also having a rockin' promise delivery system. So absolutely every touch point and every contact made with your clients and prospects before, during, and after a sale. Aren't people amazing before a sale, right? Oh, they can talk you up and spend a lot of time and caring and doing this and doing that. But then as you are engaging in their process, things get to decline. The more you go into the actual sales process, the more things decline. So the promise delivery system has 8 key stages to creating that engagement, to creating an outstanding process and an outstanding customer experience, from pre-qualifying, to qualifying and proposal process, to how you onboard or how you offer for people that have retail. You don't onboard clients when you have a retail store, but you do sell. What are your offerings, and how are they? How are these offerings tantalizing and absolutely irresistible, right? So what is your renewal if you're a coach or someone who delivers a service for a living? What is your onboarding process? What's your completion process? What's your renewal process? Heck, your follow-up process, your nurturing process. We're all sitting on a gold mine in our businesses just by, if we're not nurturing our existing prospects and existing clients, we are literally, I call it gold mine marketing. We're literally sitting on a little gold mine. And unfortunately, this is where most people screw up, because most people don't have a solid when this, then that process. That's what this whole promise delivery system is. And not having a clear promise delivery system leads to overwhelmed, overworked, and underpaid. It leads to no scalability, meaning the ceiling for growth is super low. And it leads to absolutely no differentiation, which means there's no reason to spend $1 more or $10 more or just tit for tat by you instead of someone else. How you answer the phone, how you follow up, how do you consistently stay top of mind. There's a client that worked with us years ago, and they had been nurtured by us for 7 years before they actually moved forward in working with us. Was that absolutely freaking worth it? Absolutely, right? So being top of mind consistently is absolutely key, because that is a key part of positioning. You can't just position one day and call yourself something. There's someone online right now, her positioning is the woman who has busted a $2.7 billion industry. That's a strong positioning. I subscribed to her webinar just because I wanted to know what was that whole thing. So her positioning, even though I didn't care for the subject, the positioning got me curious, right? So all those touch points matter. They create wow and delight. They ensure that you provide an outstanding customer journey. And structures, system, support are what gets results, not just great ideas. Great ideas on their own, they're a dime a dozen. So we operate at our best when we have a step-by-step process to follow. Talking about step-by-step process and support, just write hell yes. There's a lot of hell yes from before. Write hell yes if in the chat, if you like smart success shortcuts. If you like smart success shortcuts, just say yes in the chat, just making sure that you're still with me here and that we're all still together. I got lots of thumbs up. That's awesome. My answer to that is always, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Where are we in time here? 11:36. Perfect. Okay. This is where the rubber meets the road. I want to show you some amazing transformation that we in my team have created from a positioning elevations perspective. Because it's very nice to go back to basics and figure what I've talked about now, but how do you pepper these things into your day-to-day, into your website, into different marketing material? Because again, what I've shared with you today means nothing if it's not clearly supporting in your cosmetic brand, right? In your logo, your website, your promotional tools, and how you're actually spreading the word. Branding is what is the word to be spread. Marketing is actions that we're going to take to spread that word, right? That's the difference between branding and marketing. So a visual brand and website is an expense unless you purposefully turn that expense into an investment with a high ROI by doing the work that's required to turn your brand and your website into your most valuable asset, right? Your most valuable spokesperson, someone that accurately speaks on your behalf 24/7. My website right now is speaking to people on my behalf as I am communicating and as I am doing this with you guys here. So the website and the cosmetic side of a brand it has to actually be compelling. It has to get people to go, you got my attention. I want to know more. This makes freaking total sense. Where have you been all my life? That in a gist is the work that needs to be done in your content, in deciding what you're going to offer, why you're going to offer it that way. And even if you have a service, especially if you have a service, services are intangible, right? A lot of services are intangible. So how do you turn? Positioning is turning the intangible into something that people go, wow, I want me some of that. I want me some of that. So I want to show you one of the website here. This is Trisha Miltimore, amazing woman. And this was her before. And so this is a little bit of, not bad, but it's everything in the kitchen sink. We don't know what she stands for. We don't know what she's about. Whereas now she is the passion igniter. Less is better when you're actually communicating. And by the way, it's important to speak human, not speak marketing. Very important to speak human. And so she is the yes, you can passion igniter coach. And we had to distill and get rid of a lot of, I call that, what's the word I use here often? When I say everything in the kitchen sink, schizophrenia. A lot of people I feel have schizophrenia regarding their marketing material because they want to put everything in the kitchen sink, and that it's not the right way to go. It sends people away, as opposed to, remember, a confused mind doesn't buy. So this here is, again, a confused mind doesn't buy. This is not really good positioning. A little bit everything in the kitchen sink, and there was no leadership into this website. And West Coast Sightseeing, they believe in let's explore together. Let's create. You have the chance to create your own experience here. So we've again made this all very simple, made them the first and the best at creating an amazing experience through technology for their trips wherever they live in the world right now. Their goals was to be the first and the best, the fastest growing company, sightseeing company in BC. Their goal was to do that in 5 years, and literally they've reached that amazing point within 3 years of working with us. And of course, I take a tiny part of the goodness of that. They are an amazing company that implements and that actually do good, and they make life better for travelers, no doubt about that. But it doesn't stop there. You can't become the most loved and acclaimed company in Vancouver if your vans and your transport looks like this. So you've got to really, the information that I shared today is what informs the look and feel, so that the look and feel oozes the positioning, oozes building that trust and that influence. Their core values are being used on their ties. Everybody's got a particular apparel in the company, obviously, and they wear it proudly. And they get a lot of questions around, oh, what does it say on your tie? And it gives them an opportunity to talk about their core values. This here is a company that is a direct competitor to Fitbit. They are actually better than Fitbit, but they were not positioned as such, by no means. So again, the visual has to be the wow and delight and the leadership that your brand is needing and requires in order to entice and invite and get people to really want to work with you. There's a lot of other examples. You know, we're all about being the first and the best at bridging. When we work with clients, we work on branding and marketing and business growth. And there are very few, I know a few companies who do that in another country. So we are the first and still the only to do it to the capacity that we do it. And we're very clear about how we roll and what we do. So this is an impact woman. She creates impact for a living, literally. And this is what her cosmetic brand looked like. Well, once we were done going through the work of what I've explained here and then some, obviously, then we work on the visuals. Let's create impact together. And it's driven by purpose, motivated by millions. You know, who would you buy more from? The left woman or the right woman, the woman on the right? At the end of the day, it's the same person. It was just not communicated in a way that was compelling and in alignment with who she is. So when you're crystal clear about who you want, how you want to leave people feeling, right? Which is your energetic internal mission. When you're crystal clear about what makes you the best, which is your promise. When you're crystal clear about what makes you different, which is your X factor, the tipping point as to why someone would choose you instead of someone else. And when you're crystal clear about what makes you relevant and seen, which is your premise, people buy regardless of price. And you only have 7 seconds for your ideal clients to make 11 major decisions, right, about you. And you have 7 seconds to create a first positive impact, first positive feel, an energetic feel, or not, by the way, or not, right? So how about we make your brand positioning a conscious decision? I remember years ago, I also come from Quebec City and Montreal, so I studied in Montreal. Heidi, I know that your story was from Montreal at the beginning. I remember sitting in front of the marketing director of HSBC years ago here in Vancouver. And within a few minutes, I had them investigating me, right, sniffing me, to praying that I was going to take them on as a client. And when I named my price and they happily said yes, I felt valued. You know, I felt like all my hard work in establishing and owning my positioning of being the only agency that has an effective process to help people become the first, the best, or the only with the trifecta process. They truly became, years and years ago, they became my first $100,000 client. That doesn't happen by accident. You know, that happens by design. And it all starts with you getting the right positioning for your unique brand in place, right? And the right support to help you get it done and get it done well. So what I wanted to offer this beautiful community here today is the opportunity to connect with myself and with my team, as we are passionate about helping people, businesses and brands truly live up to their full potential. And for a brand to live up to their full potential, positioning has to be bloody strong. We love to work with heart-centered entrepreneurs and thought leaders who thrive and who are proud to deliver their genius in a simple, impactful, and fulfilling way. And if that's you, then I invite you to fill out my needs assessment to get a 30-minute insight call so that we can determine the best way to quickly help you increase your relevance, right, your influence and your impact. And it's also an opportunity for us to see how and if we're the right fit for each other, but how, most importantly, how we can help you grow within this COVID time and of course, well beyond. Another opportunity, I did promise a way to implement what I've talked about here today. And so what I want to do is I want to offer an opportunity for you to get access to our 12-week coaching program, an online program called Build to Rock. And it's 8 training modules plus live coaching to help you quickly reposition yourself or position yourself to be found and better resonated with your ideal clients. And of course, to get your prospects to say, where the hell have you been all my life, right? So the ultimate outcome of the Build to Rock program, and I've created this program myself with months and months and years of experience and months of doing these videos intelligently. They're fun, it's inspiring. I make positioning and branding, which is a difficult subject for a lot of people. I make it a lot of fun. So the ultimate outcome for Build to Rock is to get your business differentiation and your brand positioning in place, so that you can I'm in the business of kicking COVID's ass, so that you can kick COVID's ass by setting yourself up to create more impact and more inspiration, the inspiration that you want to create on this beautiful planet of ours now, but also well beyond COVID. So what you'll get through the program is you'll get help with your brand differentiation and your product and service structure so that you can become indispensable to your clients and prospects online and offline. The key right now is helpfulness, right? Helpfulness is truly the new hustle. And the more helpful and valuable you are, the more you will be indispensable. So you'll get 12 weeks of coaching, live coaching, and 8 game-changing training modules. And I've got well over 20 ready-to-use templates and worksheets that are going to really help you go through this in a systematic, intelligent way. And because of COVID right now, this is what we're offering. And to your amazing community here at the Burnaby Board of Trade is a massive discount for really helping you position. Positioning has always been massively important, but it's never been more important than now. So if you go to leapzonestrategies.com/outhelp, out-help, you'll get access to this unique offer. And for those of you who move forward and want to actually join and get some help in moving forward, what I want to do is I want a linchpin that's happening a lot right now in brand positioning is how you communicate who you are and what you do and why people should care through your website, as I talked about in the presentation. And one of the services that clients hire me for is called a website audit, because truly, let's face it, most websites are there, although some are decent, most actually don't work. So one of the things that I absolutely love is reviewing my clients' websites, reviewing the sites from top to bottom, lingo, flow, first impression, and give my thoughts and top recommendations to ensure that the key elements of influence and engagement are present and the positioning, personality, and tone are effectively peppered throughout to transform your site into an effective ideal client magnet, an effective spokesperson for you. And the investment of a website audit is $750. But I want to actually gift this to anyone who moves forward with working with us, either in one-on-one by filling out our needs assessment or moving forward with Build to Rock. These are people that they're real Build to Rockers: Danielle, John, Karina, Christina. Those are 4 out of hundreds that have gone through Build to Rock. They've enrolled, they've done the work, and they've created and continue to actually create amazing results. And they're thrilled to keep us up to date. Christina did the first round of Build to Rock 4 years ago, and she's still connecting with me, letting me know what results she's still gaining and creating from her experience in the Build to Rock program. Okay, so if you're willing and ready to grow and adapt, right? We need to adapt right now to the new normal that COVID is creating. Of course, my team and I, as I said earlier, we're in the mood to kick ass and to help you kick some serious business butt. so that you can be really good at communicating your value, especially if you're in a service business and you need to make the intangible tangible. This is part of our genius. Ultimately, we would do this so that people think, I would be a fool to do business with anyone else but you, regardless of price. So that is what I had to share with this amazing community today. I want to open it up to questions. I'm going to go look here. It's very hard to speak and be concentrated in speaking and reading the chat at the same time. Perhaps, Corey, you can actually look at the chat and let me know if there are some specific questions, or perhaps unmuting the person and just having a quick conversation on questions so that I can be of more value even.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few that are tapped into or typed into the chat box. So feel free, everyone, to put a question in there, or if you want to ask it in person, just let us know that. I've got one from Taz here, whose question is interesting. It's, if your service is for a taboo topic, yet the industry is saturated, how do you differentiate? Because yeah, you would think either the taboo topic might differentiate itself, but if it's a saturated industry, how do you tackle that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love this. That we work with a lot of taboo industries. Again, it's part of that process, right? It's really, there's a loophole somewhere. Remember earlier I said I worked with HSBC. They had 10 binders about this big of all the shit, sorry for swearing, all the things that we couldn't do. Can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. There's always a way and a loophole somewhere. So what I would do if we were to work together, and the process is, we need to look at what is taboo, why it's taboo, and usually the X factor mixed with a strong premise. The premise is your foot in the door here. And by having a clear premise, which is your room divider, and then helping you create some educational-based marketing, there's ways to be very clever with the premise to get people to really read between the lines. There's a great, I don't remember the name of the company, pardon me, but there's a programming company in Vancouver that years ago were looking for amazing programmers. And I don't know, you might remember this, big billboards of gibberish. Like it literally looked like ones and zeros to us. But to people who spoke that programming language, that was an ad to say that they were looking for amazing people to work for their company. And only a few people were able to read that language, and those are the people that they were looking for. So we would have to be very creative in looking for ways through these ingredients. And I said that at the beginning, that there's 10 ingredients to a brand foundation and to positioning. And so, and I've shared 4 with you today. So sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay.
Bless you.
How rude. How rude. But know that this is precisely what I love to be challenged with. So for you, I'd say at least fill out the needs assessment, have a conversation with one of us, and we might actually, in that 30 minutes, we might very well be able to at least create a pathway.
I've got one here around for people who are looking to kind of develop their brand, their positioning, what their promise is. What's some strategies for seeing what else is out there, about doing a bit of an assessment? What are your competitors doing? How do you know if you're creating a position or a brand that stands out from the rest without knowing what the rest are doing? So are there tactics that someone can do as a business owner to do a little bit of that environmental scan to see how others are positioning themselves, or any suggestions in that way?
Yeah, totally. You'd use a small, very simply, I mean, if you know some of the companies and you want to actually investigate them quietly, right? Kind of go to a little investigation. You know, you can utilize a software like Hootsuite, or there softwares that allow you to be aware of their social media, and just be great ears, be listening to what they're posting, what they're talking about, how they're communicating what they do. For example, one of my big competitors, not for positioning, but for educational-based content, is Brandon Bouchard. So I'm all up in his feed. I listen to him, I look at him, I look at what he's doing, what he's not doing. And usually, you know, if he starts to talk about a certain aspect, then I will consider And people do this with me. If I'm their biggest competitor, of course they're following me and they're looking at what I'm doing. So, but the key is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? The key is to listen and to really, if it's a store, then go to that store, ask questions, become a little bit of a ghost or a silent shopper. We've done that recently with a company that we're working with, and we've made some calls to silently really investigating what they offer and their pricing, so that we would be aware of what our clients' competition is facing. But the best way to do that incognito is to just listen on their social media feed. And that's a great way of seeing that. And it's free.
There's a final question here from Kartik. There could be a point where creating a debatable premise cannot be defended by the company in the long run. How can you make sure that does not happen? So perhaps I think I'm reading into that. If you're not, it's not authentic. The promise is not something that you can live up to. But it's more of a maybe it wasn't built on strong foundations when you went out there with it.
Yeah.
That 5 minute turnaround of it. If all you ever do is 20 minutes, how do you prevent that false premise?
Yeah, and that's precisely why I talked about the promise delivery system, right? I went fast there because we had a limited amount of time, but a promise delivery system is exactly that. People nowadays, we can feel the unauthenticity of a brand or of a message. We can feel it. In fact, it's proven that if you create an email, and even if the wording is accurate, if the feeling behind it wasn't, it'll get felt when the message is being received. So of course, the beauty about having a strong brand foundation and strong positioning, like a strong promise and a strong X factor, is it becomes a benchmark for your internal team. The key is to look at everything that we're doing and making sure that we're elevating and that we are delivering on what we're saying. Because otherwise it will get felt and people will buy once and never again, which is not the goal. The goal is to get people hooked, like Apple products, for example. There was an amazing ad out there, little cartoon video that actually talked about, it's a little girl that goes to a store that says, I want an iPhone. Oh, we don't sell iPhones here. We sell the best phone though. It's the blah, 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 whatever. But then the girl's like, I don't care, I want an iPhone. Yeah, but this phone is actually way better. It's got this, it's got that, it's got these features. It actually will serve you coffee in the morning. I don't care, I want an iPhone. And I mean, the ad went on and on and on, and the girl was like, I don't care, I want an iPhone. It's gonna buy you a house. I don't care, I want an iPhone, right? But that's because they're very in alignment with what they deliver and how they deliver. Their promise delivery system is on point. Does it mean that they never make mistakes? No, they make mistakes all the time. How they deal with those mistakes, again, is authentically on brand, right? So the key here is to make sure that everybody has buy-in internally, that we basically will do whatever in our power to deliver on what we say we're going to deliver. That's absolute key.
Oh, perfect. I think that goes to your original point that brand isn't the logo, a brand isn't the image, because it's easy to slap a new coat of paint on the van or a new image up on the website. It's deeper than that. So we're galloping towards noon here. So I want to take a second here to thank you so much for coming out and joining us, or virtually coming out and joining us here in Burnaby, and for being a part of our session today. I really appreciate that, and for your insights and thoughts there. Just a bit of wrap up housekeeping here, just so on what we're looking at going forward. So this is the second of a 3-part series of webinars that we're doing. So today obviously was today. We had 2 weeks ago our Talk So They Listen session on presenting skills and confidence, and then on the 21st we have our final in the 3-part series on negotiation during a pandemic and other uncertain times, and how you can approach negotiating, whether that's with an employer, whether that's with if you're a business owner and you're having to negotiate tenants and lease problems right now because of COVID. Negotiation skills are probably never more relevant than they are right now. The day after that, please keep your eye on the State of the City address, July 22nd. This is our annual event with Mayor Hurley. This is going to be a very timely, very important session where the mayor will be laying out what's happened in the city through this crisis and the road forward when things are getting back to normal, when major initiatives are moving forward, and kind of what the future holds. And there'll be a question and answer discussion, so we can really dive into what's going on here in our city during these unprecedented times. And then I want to make sure I do a call out for our nominations for the Burnaby Business Excellence Awards. It's the 21st year this year. We're not giving up on the awards just because things are different or challenging. In fact, there's probably never been a more important time to celebrate the resilience and the skill of our business community. So if you know a business yourself, or a client, or just the business down the street that you love to visit, let us know about them. They're doing great things. If they've pivoted, if they've done something to help out in the community, our award nominations for the 21st year are going ahead in the fall. And we want to hear about those local businesses that are doing great things. And this year, for the first time ever, in alignment with our theme of business and community together, where we created the Burnaby Community Champion Award, which is not going to a business, which is odd for us. It's going to either a volunteer, an individual employee, or a frontline worker who's through their own personal dedication has helped us through the response and recovery to COVID-19. So if you know somebody who's been at the food bank delivering stuff, if you know somebody who's been working with frontline workers to make sure that they do what they do best, we want to know about those individuals as well. So bbot.ca, if you go to our website, it'll be the first thing you see when you land on the page there. And I really wanted a second to thank our sponsors of this whole series, Pacific Blue Cross, our platinum partner, and Electronic Arts Canada, our gold partner. Heidi, thanks so much for being here today and for your welcoming comments and that great story to kick off the session today. We really appreciate your support, both during this session and throughout the year, and your involvement in Burnaby. I mean, Pacific Blue Cross and EA are major employers here, big parts of our business community, and great corporate citizens as part of the Chamber network. So again, thanks so much everybody for coming out. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I see Stacey's hanging holding up all her notes she's taken today, so that's awesome. We will share the slides, and I'll slice and dice the recording here so that we can get the presentation out to people who because I know I had a few people who joined in about 10 or 15 minutes in. So we'll have a chance you can go over this. And we'll go from there. But I appreciate everyone being here today. Isabelle, thanks so much for being a part of our group, and we'll chat again soon. And hopefully before too long, we'll have a chance to see you all in person again once more. Thanks, everybody.